On Christmas night, my great-grandmother stood up and accused me of stealing a beach house I had never even seen. The dining room looked perfect. Candles glowing, glasses shining, laughter that didn't quite feel real. Then she said it. "Why is there an elderly couple living in the beach house I bought for you?" Every fork stopped midair. My uncle's smile tightened. My aunt froze. My sister went pale. And I just sat there trying to understand what was happening. Because I didn't own a beach house. I didn't own a house. I didn't even have an apartment. "I don't know what you're talking about," I said quietly. "I'm homeless." The word hit the table like it didn't belong there. And here's the part no one expected. Someone at that table already knew why. Have you ever sat in a room full of family and realized you're the only one who doesn't know the story they've been telling about you? A week earlier, I had been standing in a rental office while a woman slid my application back across the counter. "Your credit doesn't qualify." 3 days after that, my keys stopped working. It didn't collapse all at once. It drained slowly, one late notice, one rejection, one locked door. I wasn't sleeping under a bridge. I was sleeping in my car, on friends' couches, waking up before sunrise so I wouldn't be in the way, brushing my teeth in gas station bathrooms because it was warmer than my steering wheel. And still, I showed up to Christmas dinner. Because in my family, appearances matter more than reality. I kept my voice calm. But my sister wouldn't look at me, not once. And that was when something shifted. This wasn't confusion. This was exposure. Because my great-grandmother didn't look confused either. She looked betrayed. And what she said next turned Christmas dinner into an investigation. My great-grandmother didn't sit down. She stayed standing. And she didn't look at me when she spoke next. "I transferred the deed 3 years ago," she said calmly. "I have the confirmation." The air shifted. My aunt blinked too slowly. My sister finally looked up. But not at me. At them. Have you ever watched people silently adjust their story without saying a word? "I sent the documents to this address," my great-grandmother continued, holding up her phone. "Madison signed for them." My chest tightened. I had never signed anything. "I never received those documents," I said. My voice wasn't shaking anymore. It was steady, because confusion was turning into something else. Control. My aunt gave a small, controlled smile. "Oh, sweetheart," she said softly. "You were going through a difficult time. We handled the paperwork for you." Handled. That word felt rehearsed. "What paperwork?" I asked. "The transfer," my uncle said smoothly. "The Hamptons property. It didn't seem wise to burden you with that responsibility." There it was, not just a lie, a justification. I turned to my great-grandmother. "I was never told about a house," I said carefully, "and I never signed a deed." Silence. Then my sister spoke. "You were unstable back then," she said quietly. "We didn't want to overwhelm you." Unstable. A label disguised as protection. And suddenly everything started aligning. The missing mail. The loan payments I was told were taken care of. The credit decline I couldn't explain. The day my apartment keys stopped working. Someone hadn't just lied. They had rewritten my life. My great-grandmother opened her email and rotated her screen toward us. There it was, a scanned deed. My name, my signature, dated 3 years ago. But 3 years ago, I was living in another state. And the signature at the bottom was not mine. I leaned forward and looked directly at it. "That's not my signature." No one laughed. No one corrected me. Because forgery doesn't respond well to eye contact. My great-grandmother's face changed. Not confusion, decision. She reached for her phone. "I want everything verified," she said calmly. And when the doorbell rang 10 minutes later, my uncle stopped breathing for a second. Because he knew exactly who she had called. And this wasn't family anymore. It was legal. The doorbell didn't ring again. It opened. Because my great-grandmother's assistant had a key. And behind him walked a man in a dark suit carrying a leather briefcase. Not police. Not drama. Worse, her attorney. "Good evening," he said calmly. "I was told there may be a documentation issue." No one spoke. My uncle tried to smile. It didn't land. My aunt straightened in her chair like posture could undo 3 years of paper trails. The attorney didn't sit. He placed the briefcase on the dining table and opened it. Folders, tabs, bank summaries. "This won't take long," he said. That sentence changed the temperature of the room more than any accusation had. He turned to my great-grandmother. "You authorized a property transfer to Madison Cross. I have the original authorization request." He placed a document beside the printed deed. 2 signatures, side by side. One real, one forged. Even from across the table, the difference was obvious. Ink pressure, stroke pattern, spacing. My aunt's hand tightened around her napkin. The attorney didn't raise his voice. "Forgery voids the transfer," he said, "which means the property legally remains under the original estate until corrected." My uncle swallowed. "So this is a misunderstanding," he said quickly. "We were helping her manage assets." The attorney didn't look at him. "Who has been residing in the Hamptons property?" Silence. Then my sister answered too fast. "We were overseeing it." "Overseeing," he repeated. He flipped another page. "Because rental deposits totaling $5,000 per month have been entering an account connected to this household." There it was. Benefit, not protection. Income. My great-grandmother's eyes shifted slowly from me to them. "How long?" she asked quietly. No one answered. The attorney continued. "There is also evidence that loan payments assigned to Madison were redirected through a secondary account." My stomach dropped, which would explain the sudden credit deterioration. The room went completely still. This wasn't emotional anymore. It was arithmetic. They hadn't just forged my name. They had used the house, rented it, redirected my loan payments, destroyed my credit, and funded this lifestyle with both. I felt something strange then, not anger, not shock, relief, because for the first time the problem had paperwork. My uncle tried one last move. "She wasn't stable enough to manage." "That claim," the attorney interrupted calmly, "would require medical documentation." My aunt froze, because they had prepared that too, and the attorney was already reaching for another folder. "And we'll need to verify that as well." And that was when I realized this wasn't just going to expose a lie. It was about to expose everything. The room didn't explode. It tightened, because exposure doesn't end manipulation, it escalates it. My aunt recovered first. "You're turning this into something dramatic," she said calmly. "We protected her. Madison was spiraling. Doctors were involved." There it was again, unstable. My uncle leaned forward. "You think she could manage a multi-million-dollar property? She couldn't even manage rent." That one hit, because it was partially true. I had lost my apartment. But truth without context is just a weapon. The attorney didn't argue. "I'm determining liability," he said evenly. That word changed the air. Liability meant consequences. My great-grandmother folded her hands. "Show me the medical reports." My aunt hesitated just long enough. Then she reached into her bag and slid a folder across the table. The attorney opened it, flipped one page, then another. Then he stopped. "These are unsigned." "Draft copies," my uncle said quickly. "Draft diagnoses," the attorney asked. Silence. He examined the header more closely. "This formatting template was created 6 months ago." No one moved. The deed had been dated 3 years ago. The medical claim, also 3 years old. But the document format was recent. Not protection, preparation. They hadn't just redirected money. They had built a story, one that made me look incompetent and kept them in control. And if my great-grandmother had never asked about the house, that narrative would have stayed permanent. My uncle made one last attempt. "Even if paperwork was mishandled, we acted in good faith." The attorney closed the folder. "Good faith does not generate rental income." Silence, heavy, unavoidable. Then my great-grandmother asked the question no one wanted to answer. "How much?" The attorney didn't hesitate. "Preliminary estimate, approximately $180,000 in rental diversion, plus redirected loan payments and accrued penalties." The number didn't feel emotional. It felt prosecutable. My great-grandmother looked at her attorney. "Freeze every estate-connected account tied to that property," she said calmly. Not yelling, not dramatic, procedural. My sister finally understood. This wasn't about family pride. This was enforcement. And enforcement doesn't ask for permission. It executes. And this was only the beginning. No one was arrested that night. No one was dragged out in handcuffs. Real consequences don't explode. They unfold. Before the dishes were cleared, the attorney had already placed 2 calls. By morning, every estate-connected account tied to the Hamptons property was frozen. Not seized. Frozen. Which meant access required review. Review required documentation. And documentation required answers. Within 48 hours, formal letters were issued. Demand for accounting. Notice of suspected fraud. Request for forensic audit. 3 years of monthly deposits. $180,000. Documented. The redirected loan payments were worse. Each handled transfer had triggered penalties, late marks, and collection flags. It hadn't been incompetence. It had been containment. Their attorney attempted to reframe it as guardianship. Miscommunication, overprotection, administrative error. But unsigned medical drafts don't establish incapacity, and forged deeds don't establish protection. They establish liability. Civil first, criminal possible. Negotiations began within a week. Structured repayment, asset liquidation, immediate restitution of diverted rental income, formal correction of the property transfer, credit disputes filed with supporting fraud documentation. Slow. Procedural, real. My apartment didn't magically return, but my credit began correcting within months. The Hamptons house was legally restored under my name after verification. Not gifted, verified, and that difference mattered. My great-grandmother didn't give speeches. She made revisions, estate restructuring, trust amendments, oversight safeguards, and one clause added permanently, no third-party management without written beneficiary consent. That clause existed because of me. The family dynamic didn't recover. It recalibrated. Some relationships ended quietly. Some never restarted. But something else ended too. The story that I was unstable. Because instability doesn't survive audit. Control doesn't survive documentation. And manipulation doesn't survive evidence. The night began with an accusation. It ended with records. And if there's one thing I learned from that Christmas, the truth doesn't need to shout. It needs documentation. And once the records surface, there's nothing left to protect.